This is a debut album.
You're kidding me.
No.
Because you have,
I'm as surprised
you
as
must
you
have
are.
over 300 songs.
I have at least 40.
I've known you as a singer as long as I've known you, and I've known you many years.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Not all songs that begin end, you know, in a written finished product, but the ones that are meant to wrap up do. And so that's the body of work that we are starting to present now.
You have been playing for years. How many years?
Since
When did you pick up a
2021.
guitar?
2000. So short backstory is, I grew up with my mom playing music and singing, particularly in folk groups at church. And she had always wanted me to learn how to play guitar, and I never had. And in 2001, she passed away in a car accident, and I was left with her guitar sitting in a closet at our house. And so, as a way to kind of process that whole experience, I kind of picked it up and said, I need to learn this. And it was, every guitar, every instrument kind of has its own voice, and this guitar, it was no exception. It was her guitar, yeah. And so I basically learned how to play guitar with the songs that I heard her, that I sang with her, that she would play guitar with.
So you learned on her guitar, and that's actually kind of interesting, because your lyrics are also like very personal lyrics.
Yes.
And they are,
Yes.
I mean, that's part of the poetry in your music, I think. I can't think of a single song that you have that is like, the refrain is a sing-along thing.
Sure. Yeah, I've tried to write that. It still ends up being kind of a more personal than you'd want to sing along with, perhaps. I think part of that, not that I wouldn't want to write those kinds of songs, but the whole reason for my writing was more to process my sorrows that I've experienced through my joys, which is the making of music. And so my whole impetus for that creative process was to connect with something that was a little deeper settled in that I wanted to kind of release in a positive and productive way.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the time period now of, you've been playing for 20 years. You have this album. How many songs are on this album?
There's 8 in this album.
Okay. So, using the analogy of picking your favorite child, you've had to pick 8 of your favorite. Now it's a lifeboat. It's a lifeboat that holds 9, and you're in the first seat. So, how did you come up with these 8? Was it because of just thematically, or they...
It was a product of the quarantine.
Okay.
And the way music had to come together for this.
Okay.
And I think certain songs raised their hand for that collaboration, and other songs sternly stood in the corner with their back facing us. And I have a few. I did not realize this. I know that my music can be a little moody and brooding, perhaps, but I also have a body of work that's a bit more of a John Denver-y, folksy sound. And so the John Denver-y, folksy sounding stuff ended up completely ignoring this quarantine process and rebelling against it. What we ended up doing is, working through instrumentation for about 20 songs.
Okay.
And then as you're listening through it, you're like, no, that's not it either. Sorry, no. And then a song came through, Old World Clothes, and as soon as we heard the rough of that, it was like, oh yeah, okay. that's the voice for this song. That's the map for. And then it turns out that we just then selected all the B-sides because it has that brooding, moody sound to it, kind of atmospheric, a little eclectic and eccentric, and we were able to pull that music out from the body of work that we were sifting through, and then saving the folksier tunes to a lighter, airier, summery feel that we'll record in this summer. But this winter, we'll have just like the day-to-day kind of low-hanging cloud, fog, mist, a little rainy.
Okay.
But it's the music comes from that place, but in the listening takes you a little higher. I feel as I was writing these
Right.
songs so many years ago, I felt I was like in this place, but in the writing and in the resolution of the work comes you feel better at the end.
Yeah.
So I try not to bring people down too much, but it starts in a place of need and ends in a place of hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about Old World Clothes, and that's the first single off of this
Yes.
album. And is that because it is more, it sort of speaks to all these other songs, or speaks to the time you're leaving it?
Good question. I would say it was the first song that said, "This is it. This is
Okay.
the way it is," and I think just lyrically, thematically, it does fit in terms of talking about acknowledging the old and
Mhm.
reconciling it with new thoughts, and that's this whole album.
Yeah.
In many ways, the production of an album and the evolution of the work, as well as perhaps just where we all are right now after 2 years of
Yeah.
pandemic-y stuff. It's an introspection, and
Okay.
I felt like it sat well compared to some of the more specific themes of the other songs.
So are you playing alone on this album?
I am not, no, which has been interesting because some of the folks on the album I've never even met because of quarantine.
Oh, really?
So the whole album was done remotely.
You had other artists working on this with you.
Yeah. I mean, so overall we had Dennis over at Daedalus Productions that has been producing, and all the studio time and the engineering, it's just been incredible. And then we have Matt Miskey,
Okay.
and he's done a lot of instrumentation and some vocals on the tracks as well.
Oh, okay.
Bob Noble running cello, and that's been a welcome addition to the album.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the sound of cello and how many ways it can go. Doug Makofka, and he's also done just an insane amount of instrumentation on the album that have really taken some of the sounds and the songs farther afield than I ever thought sonically.
Oh.
Sometimes you just don't even think about what something can sound like
Yeah.
until
yeah.
somebody says, "What
Yeah.
about this?" And
Yeah.
so you hear that and you're like, either that's amazing or like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry." But that's good to know that we're not going to do that. So but that's all part of the work. Dee Dasher, Kim Rose, and Dinesh Smith over from That's What She Said, local band, trio of ladies. They're incredible, and they've contributed some vocals on
Okay.
the work. And then we have Anthony over at Art of Kundro. He is a videographer
Okay.
that will be doing both the promo, which you can see probably attached to this video, perhaps, but also the video for the single coming out.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant. I love Anthony. And Kyle O'Brien.
And Kyle O'Brien, absolutely. Not to forget, Kyle is. I haven't even heard Kyle's contribution to the album yet,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited.
Really?
We're right at the 11th hour, but we really wanted Kyle on it and his expertise. So really excited to hear what he has.
He's like the spice. He's the spice to music around here. That guy.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable.
And it's pretty fantastic. I couldn't have put this album
That's
together.
a great lineup of people.
Oh yeah,
Really.
yeah. I would never have guessed we would have gotten to this point. You
Yeah.
know, when you start out of necessity to write a song, and then you have other folks, pouring their time, energy, and art and creativity into it. I hope everybody is as pleased as I am with this.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.